Welcome back one final time to Hot Roster today. Cam, Gary, and we are now breaking down the waiver wire card as we did last week for Week 9. So waiver wire card Week 10.
I'll give producer Chris credit here. These are some really good battles in the waiver wire here.
Yeah, these are decisions you're probably going to have to make and conundrums you're probably going to have to think about.
These are classic fights right now.
So right now we have guys who had pretty big weeks during Week 9. Michael Thomas, as we talked about on the show already.
Awesome.
One of the recipients of Drew Brees' love right now. We have him pitted against Rashard Matthews, who scored 2 touchdowns. 2 of those 3 passing touchdowns for the Titans during Week 9 against the Chargers. Michael Thomas right now he's kind of their wide receiver 1, right?
He is. But Rashard Matthews is a guy, he has 3 touchdowns in his last couple of games. This guy's under the radar.
Both have
hot.
5 touchdowns for the season. And Rashard Matthews was someone who kind of under the radar in terms of real life waiver wire. I mean, he was a guy who the Titans had targeted clearly in free agency, had a couple big games with the Dolphins to start last season. Then Devontae Parker got healthy and kind of phased him out a little bit. But here's my problem with Rashard Matthews right now, and it's just sort of the touchdown expectancy nature of this. I feel like whereas
if he doesn't get a touchdown, you're going to lose.
Yeah, but
whereas Thomas gets more yards.
And he gets more yards, and also just it's a better offense in New Orleans. I think it's a sort of similar situation where it's hard to tell who the wide receiver 1 is for either one of these teams. But the Saints are an offensive juggernaut. The Titans are pretty good, and they've been better than I think I expected so far this season. Whereas Rashard Matthews, so far this season, he's been targeted 4 times in the red zone. He's caught all 4 of those passes, and 2 of them have been for touchdowns. At some point, those numbers are going to regress a little bit, and I think there's going to be more opportunity for Thomas. Cordero Patterson. Can't believe we're talking. It must be 2003 again, because we're talking about Cordero Patterson against Steve Smith Sr.
Are we talking about punt returns for touchdowns
or
catches?
The thing, because I will
Patterson's
say,
an X factor when it comes to, and he's a burner.
There are some leagues that have return yards.
And I will take
Patterson.
Patterson.
So I think in that situation, you take Patterson because both of these offenses, this is really what I want to talk about here, because we just talked about the Saints and how good an offense they are. They're an environment conducive to multiple fantasy people
Minnesota
having success.
opposite.
Minnesota and Baltimore. Baltimore's also a terrible offense.
They are. A couple big plays, but other than that, they stunk.
They had a 95-yard touchdown predicated on a broken tackle. They had a blocked punt for a touchdown. This is not a good offense. They threw an interception in the red zone. Joe Flacco's been terrible so far this season.
Cleveland can play with them on Thursday night.
I agree with you. I don't want to watch that game. How much would you have to pay me to watch that game?
You can pay me to watch it, because
you're still going to watch it, I know. But right now, entering Week 8, Baltimore had the lowest and the worst drive success rate of any team in football. Minnesota has been putrid the last couple weeks. I will say, Patterson,
Patterson offers a little more upside than Smith, though, I think. But I'm going to say this. Watching that Vikings game, Patterson could have really helped his cause because Bradford looked for him in the end zone. And you know what? He's always been, that's the knock on the kid from Tennessee. Bad hands.
Yeah.
He drops a lot of balls because Bradford was looking for him, and I think he could be a viable option for the offense. He's got to catch some damn balls.
He's not a guy who's going to run a deep route. Right now, if you go back to Week 4, where he's had 28 targets, so fantastic, and he's got a lot of yards after the catch in that span, as you would expect from a punt return specialist like him, but an ADOT of 3.4 yards. That's like a running back route tree right now. So unless he breaks one of those, the touchdown expectancy goes down. He's not someone who's going to break one for 80 yards, I think. And
we love Steve Smith, but we don't have a lot of faith in him either.
So
I'm going to lean Patterson.
I think he's the safer option, but if you want the upside, I think Patterson is the way to go. Charkandrick West versus DeJuan Harris. So both of these guys, Harris had a pretty good game. He had that 47-yard touchdown catch in the second quarter.
Gary, and this is the thing. I watched that Niner game because I'm just a glutton for punishment. But Harris, not just running hard, he was hurting guys. He was applying. I love the effort that I saw. And in the first half, him and Colin Kaepernick were definitely on the same page. I loved what I saw from him, and I think that's a good this is a guy that has a lot to prove, and I really like what he did. I think the 49ers are going to go to him a lot.
Well, basically, you're breaking down right now. It's kind of the battle of handcuffs, or as you were talking about, did DeJuan Harris earn himself a role? Because it's hard to predict what's going to happen for Week 10 specifically, but you'd think that Spencer Ware is likely out of the concussion protocol.
That
back
means
to start.
See a West.
Which West, he's going to have a role in the offense, but he was underwhelmed. He underwhelmed.
Know what it is? You have a chance, okay, with Spencer Ware concussed. If he does anything, Garion, you know he's going to go get more touches and more touches. He wasn't very good in that game against Jacksonville.
Was it his fault, though? Think the situation he was
fault.
in. We're talking about a Chiefs team that didn't have Spencer Ware, didn't have Jamal Charles, didn't have
the whole
Macklin,
Chiefs
didn't have Smith.
They were lackadaisical, and they took the Jaguars lightly, and West didn't play very good.
Sorry. And I know it's Jacksonville, and I know that sets up a situation where any team should crush Jacksonville. They were missing arguably their 4 best offensive players. That's a tough spot. And they kind of key in on Chark West, but like you're saying, I think Carlos Hyde also We've yet to see him wear a non-contact practice jersey, but I think he is likely going to play this week as well. So before we get out of here, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who we talked about Jacksonville, Kings of Garbage Time, put up a ton of garbage time points in that game. Eli Rogers versus Ladarius Green. Rogers put up 103 yards on 10 targets. Green might play this week. If you had to take one, which one do you take?
I've taken Rogers. I don't have any part of Green. First of all, what's his status? I'm healthy. I'm going to play next week. And then he looks like he's regressing. At least Rogers, with all the injuries that he had after Antonio Brown, him and Big Ben had a little bit of chemistry. So you know what? I'm going to go with the proven commodity in Rogers. I don't even know about Green. Is he going to play? Is he going to catch balls? Is he healthy? You're on the clock, Garion.
I think the only argument for Ladarius Green is just he's a tight end. There's a dearth of talent at tight end, so you may need to fill that hole in your offense. But like you said, Rogers, big game. And also Marcus Wheaton, healthy scratch. Darius Hayward-Bay left that game with a serious injury. There might be some shares here for Eli Rogers out of the slot. Okay. For Cam Stewart, I'm Gary and Thorne. Guys, that was HotRoster today, breaking down yesterday's action.
Election props.
We are talking the election on the Hot Culture Show tomorrow, so definitely tune in for that. We'll see you tomorrow.